Hello, Dragon Ball fans! Saga. And this time we're going to be doing the exact same thing, where I'm heavily intoxicated and actively drinking throughout the rest of this video. But this time I'm going to be breaking down the Frieza Saga, which is actually comprised of 3 sagas. First we have the Namek Saga, the Ginyu Saga, and of course, the Frieza Saga. I'm going to be summarizing this entire arc of the anime while severely intoxicated and using nothing but my memory to recount all of the events of this saga. Now, of course, if you want to play along at home, firstly, drink responsibly, and second, take a shot every single time that I say Dragon Ball, starting now. But as is tradition here, we're going to be starting off our summary with a shot ourselves. And this time, I just got some Jaeger. Good old-fashioned Jaeger. Let's hit it, and we'll begin. Oh, yeah, baby. I also have an old-fashioned just for sipping on for the next little while. Alright, let's begin the Frieza Saga. So, after the Saiyans arrived and all of our heroes defeated Vegeta, they wound up hospitalized. Because pretty much all of them took just some brutal beatings. But they've also lost some of their friends. And King Kai lets everybody know that actually, there is a way to bring them back. There's another set of Dragon Balls on a different planet, and of course there's currently no Dragon Balls on Earth because Piccolo and Kami have died. So if they get to Piccolo's home planet, Planet Namek, they can use their Dragon Balls and wish everybody back to life. And Bulma is like, oh, sick. Well, I have the remote control to the existing Saiyan pod, so I'll just use this device that I've never used before, and I will call it to us. And they just so happen to be watching some coverage of that Saiyan pod on the news. So Bulma goes and clicks a couple buttons on the remote, and this happens. Well, shoot, our plan has already completely self-destructed, literally. And then Mr. Popo shows up on a magic carpet a la Aladdin. And so after some deliberating, Bulma hops on the magic carpet with Popo and goes to Yunzabit Heights, where Popo reveals Kami's ship. So the ship that Piccolo, before he defused with Kami, the original Namekian, came to Earth in. And it's all decrepit and moss-covered and old. But still functioning. They go inside, have a look around, and it works. You have to speak Namekian to have it work, but Popo speaks enough Namekian to make it function. So they return to the hospital and let everybody know what the situation is. They have a ship that actually works that they can take through the stars to Planet Namek. And Chi-Chi is like, well, good thing my Gohan's not going because that sounds like a nightmare. And Gohan, well, I think TFS does it the best.
I'll be going to Namek now. You best.
So everybody gets their stuff together, and after Bulma and her father repair the ship, get it into flyable condition, they set off. Meanwhile, Vegeta heals himself up in a Bacta tank, or healing pod, but it's basically a Bacta tank. And this little catfish-looking alien is like, hey Vegeta, Frieza's pissed at you because you went to planet Earth and that was against orders. And Vegeta's like, okay. And then Kui is like, but you and Nappa were talking about the Dragon Balls on a different planet called Namek, and he's already on his way there. He's gonna get immortality and you suck. And Frieza, being quite unhappy with the prospect of his boss, Frieza, being immortal, he sets off for planet Namek as well. And before too long, everybody arrives on Namek. Yes, technically a lot of stuff happened on the journey there, but it's all filler and I don't really care about any of it. And in the meantime, Frieza, who is Vegeta's boss, basically Hitler of the galaxy. I'm not gonna refer to him as that again. We're gonna call him Frieza, but he is a dictator and he's a piece of shit. Has already managed to find 4 of the Dragon Balls, alongside his number 1 and number 2 Zarbon and Dodoria. Zarbon is a handsome, fetching alien who, I'm just not gonna go there. And Dodoria is Dodoria. Both super powerful in their own right, and both importantly stronger than Vegeta, who at this point in the story is like the strongest guy we've met. So we've already been introduced to, at the very least, 3 people as strong, if not exponentially stronger, than Vegeta. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Because while Frieza and his crew are seeking the Dragon Balls, they are also slaughtering Namekians. As we learn, every Namekian village has a Dragon Ball, 7 in total. And as we soon learn, Frieza is a malevolent dictator, with zero regard for any sentient life. So as he is in his quest to seek the Dragon Balls, he's also dispatching Namekians with haste. Also, Kui, this catfish alien guy, follows Vegeta to Namek. Because he's like, well, if he's gonna try to steal the Dragon Balls, maybe I can steal the Dragon Balls from him because I'm supposed to be stronger than Vegeta. Oh god, Kui, what an idiot. Also, back on Earth, Yajirobe gives Goku a Sensu Bean, which heals him completely of all of his injuries with his fight with Vegeta. And then he asks Bulma's dad to make him a spaceship so that he can follow the rest of the crew to Namek. Which, I don't think I said this before, but Gohan, Bulma, Krillin. Those are the 3. They all go to Namek together, and it's just them. They're the Collect the Dragon Balls crew. But Dr. Brief has created a spaceship that Goku can use, along with an enhanced gravity function, so that Goku can train on his journey there. And back on Namek, Krillin and Gohan leave Bulma back at where they parked the spaceship to go scout things out. And they saw some Frieza soldiers running around, took out a few, and then decided to go where the action was. And they witness Frieza, Zarbon, and Dodoria just obliterate a town in search of one of the Dragon Balls, which they then acquire. But there is one survivor, Dende. As well, the village elder manages to destroy all of the scouters of Frieza and his henchmen, which he thinks is going to make it even more difficult for them and the rest of the Frieza Force to find the Dragon Balls. But they then just kill him. And I always thought this was a stupid idea because they probably have more scouters back on their ship. But you gotta do what you gotta do when you're in this guy's shoes. So then Dodoria comes in and he snaps the neck of the elder. And Gohan, in a fit of rage, comes in and attacks Dodoria, smacking him into a wall. And Dodoria's like, ow. And Frieza then orders Dodoria to pursue them. So along with Dende, Gohan, and Krillin flee. After chasing them for a while, and just like blitzing an area with ki attacks, Dodoria assumes he got them. He did not get them. So Dodoria returns to Frieza. But while Dodoria is on his way back to Frieza, he confronts Vegeta. And Vegeta is like, hey. And Dodoria's like, hey, I'm definitely stronger than you now, so I probably should take care of the you problem now. And Dodoria's like, but wait, I know what happened to Planet Vegeta. And Vegeta's like, okay, tell me more. And Dodoria's like, well, the Saiyans keep getting stronger. So Frieza got scared, especially about the legend of the Super Saiyan and all that. So he blew him up. And especially because Vegeta was still a little bit brainwashed, or at the very least susceptible to Frieza's influence, it was smart to send him and a small team of Saiyans off-world so that they could still use them while still fully comfortable in the fact that the rest of the Saiyans are dead and they can tell them whatever story they want to tell them and they'll just believe it. But still have the very few mighty Saiyans working for them. And Vegeta was like, I really don't give a single flying about anything that you just said. Frieza is already my enemy. So like, thanks for the intel, but also bye. And that's the end of Dodoria. And Vegeta, having picked up the skill to detect ki from the Earthlings, finds himself a different Namekian village, slaughters them all, and takes the Dragon Ball. But knowing that Frieza probably has more scouters, there's probably a way to track these Dragon Balls, he very wisely hides it underwater so that nobody can find it. It's just underwater. Surely nobody will be able to actually track the power of these Dragon Balls, right? And as long as Frieza is unable to obtain at least one of the Dragon Balls, he's screwed. You need all 7 to get the wish. This was very smart from Vegeta. Meanwhile, Gohan and Krillin bring Dende back to the old fort. And Bulma has just been there for a while and she's like, what the fuck? So they have a meal, they introduce Dende to the concept of a woman. Wait, that might actually just be a TFS bit. It's just, watch the actual show. If you've only seen TFS, go watch actual Dragon Ball. It's very good, but after having seen TFS so many times, it starts to blur the lines. Anyway, Dende tells them that Elder Guru, who is like the eldest Namekian, still has a Dragon Ball, and they're pretty well hidden. They're like in isolation. And Krillin actually steps up, taking a bit of a risk, and he goes to find Elder Guru, along with the Dragon Ball, assuming that they can hide the Dragon Ball because they can also suppress their power levels, so Frieza and his soldier scouters shouldn't be able to pick them up, thinking kind of the same thing that Vegeta thought. So Krillin sets off along with Dende, leaving Gohan and Bulma, which doesn't last very long because Gohan also goes off on his own. Also, all of the previous Z fighters who died, so Tien, Yamcha, Chaozu, and Piccolo, have all made their way to King Kai's planet, and they actually end up watching a lot of the events of the Namek Saga through King Kai's perspective. And after waiting for a little while, Dodoria never comes back to Frieza, and they get a bit impatient. So Frieza says,
Zarbon, Apul, go search this planet for more Dragon Balls.
And while the rest of the Z Warriors are on King Kai's planet, he actually reaches out and tells them, hey, Goku, Frieza and the rest of his men are actually on planet Namek right now. And they're way more powerful than Vegeta ever was. Especially that Frieza guy, who's literally the most powerful guy in the universe. So Goku, don't f with him. Meanwhile, Goku is training on his ship in like whatever times gravity, so that whenever he arrives on planet Namek, he is more than strong enough to deal with anybody that he has dealt with previously. Meanwhile, back on Namek, Vegeta picks up a pretty high power level, which just so happens to be Zarbon. And Vegeta, being super cocky, is like, ha 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 ha, you really think you can defeat the Prince of all Saiyans? I mean, Prince of all Saiyan, because all the Saiyans got wiped out. Kakarot still exists, but then it's just me and him. I gotta rethink some things. But Zarbon is like, oh, but actually I can transform. And when I do, I lose all sense of myself. And Vegeta's like, whatever. So Zarbon transforms and he becomes an ugly toad monster-esque version of himself, which also greatly increases his power. He then proceeds to absolutely demolish Vegeta. And he goes in on him like, hua, tua, tua, tua. And then he yeets Vegeta into the water. And Zarbon is like, okay, time to report back to Frieza. And once Zarbon returns back to Frieza, Frieza's like,
so, how'd it go?
And Zarbon's like, I took care of it, Lord Frieza. Vegeta is dead. And Frieza's like,
but we could probably get more information from him. So go get his body, return him to the ship, put him in a pod, and then we'll interrogate him. I'm sure nothing will go wrong.
Because of the Dragon Ball that Vegeta had already received, and at this point, Frieza knows about that. So Frieza wants to interrogate Vegeta to get that information out of him. Where did he hide it? And Zarbon goes and finds Vegeta's body, brings him back to the ship, and tells a minor character, Apul, to take care of him. However, after a little while, Vegeta wakes up and he blasts out of the Bacta tank. And then he kills Apul. I apologize if Apul is one of your like favorite characters in Dragon Ball or whatever. I don't think that there is anybody who this is the case for, but yeah. And then Vegeta makes his way to Frieza's quarters where he's storing all of the Dragon Balls, blasts a hole into the observation window in Frieza's quarters, and he yeets all of the Dragon Balls out of Frieza's ship. But Vegeta stays on the ship, tricking Zarbon and Frieza into thinking,
ah, drat, he's left and he stole the Dragon Balls!
When in actuality, he's still there on the ship. And Frieza is like,
Zarbon, go find Vegeta. We have to stop him. I want my immortality.
I mean, I don't know. At this point, Zarbon is like canonically, Then Zarbon goes to look for Vegeta. Meanwhile, Krillin makes it to Guru, the eldest of the Namekians, where not only does he find the Dragon Ball, but he also finds out that if Guru dies, and Guru is pretty old, not doing so hot. All of the Dragon Balls cease to exist, very similar to how Kami and Piccolo were linked, and if one of them dies, the Dragon Balls cease to exist also. And Guru makes this known. He's like, I don't have much time to live, but I got some cool hands that'll make you feel good. Not like a sexual way, you freak. So Guru ends up unlocking Krillin's potential, which does increase Krillin's strength exponentially. At least exponentially for a human. And then we cut back to Bulma and Gohan, which, like, before I said Gohan left, but it's at this point that Gohan actually leaves when Bulma, with her dragon radar that she created, also check out the previous Drunken Ball Z, Bulma is like, hey, there's a Dragon Ball out there fully on its own. Gohan, you should be good to go and get that, so go ahead and go get that. And he does. Gohan goes off, gets the Dragon Ball, and he starts to head back. And like, all the while, all of this is happening, a handful of things go down. So firstly, Gohan gets the Dragon Ball that Vegeta hid. But then Krillin, with his enhanced power level, attracts Vegeta to their area. But then Vegeta traveling someplace attracts Zarbon. So we got like a billion levels of folks headed directly to where Bulma is. And now Krillin's back as Vegeta arrives as well. And Krillin and Bulma are super freaked out at Vegeta being there because obviously he's stronger than Krillin. But Bulma has never actually seen the Saiyans, so she had no idea what to expect. And even though she acts terrified, I mean, you guys know what happens in the future, so surely she had to be feeling something. Anyway, Zarbon shows up too. And Bulma is like, oh my god, what a hottie! However, Zarbon and Vegeta start to go at it, and very clearly Zarbon is now outmatched by Vegeta. So he transforms, but this fight doesn't really last long, and after his near-death experience, Vegeta is just way stronger than Zarbon. And that's something that we learn eventually, is that Saiyans, when they become close to death and then recover from said near-deathness, get an exponential power boost. This doesn't make any sense. But it does end up in Vegeta winning this encounter, absolutely fisting Zarbon. Innuendo implied. But then Vegeta blasts Zarbon, and Zarbon's no more, thus leaving Frieza without his two best men, which is kind of a W for the gang. Vegeta then, being so overjoyed at the fact that he now has all 7 Dragon Balls, spares Bulma and Krillin, not having any idea that Gohan is even there, and just swiped the Dragon Ball that he had hidden. So, as Vegeta goes to retrieve the Dragon Ball that he had hid, he actually runs into Gohan, where he's like, hey, wait, you're from Earth. And Gohan is like, nuh-uh. And Vegeta's like, alright, and presses on to go retrieve his hidden Dragon Ball. And Gohan returns to Bulma and Krillin. And Krillin is like, hey, we should probably get out of here because Vegeta's gonna realize that we stole his Dragon Ball and he's just gonna come back right here. Let's get the frick out of here before he comes back. And that they do. Because Vegeta eventually does make it back to the spot where he hid the Dragon Ball, and what a surprise, it's not there. So he rushes back, and nobody's there. And since Gohan and Krillin are hiding their power level, all he can do is protect the 6 Dragon Balls that he has, and lay low until he can locate Gohan and Krillin and find the last one. But upon hearing the news that Zarbon has been defeated, Frieza is like,
okay, time to call the Ginyu Force.
And that's exactly what he does, calling his elite fighting squadron of 5 people, all with unique abilities and an immense fighting power, the Ginyu Force. Meanwhile, Krillin takes Gohan to Guru's place, but on the way to Guru they are confronted by Vegeta, where Vegeta is like, alright, listen up you fucking idiots. The only way that we can hope to defeat Frieza is if we gather the Dragon Balls and then wish for me to have immortality. Because the Ginyu Force are on their way, and you simply don't want to mess with them. And what do you know, but they just showed up. So give me the Dragon Balls, wish for my immortality, and Daddy Vegeta will take care of all of this. And then Nail, who is Elder Guru's guardian and like the most powerful warrior on Namek, is like, yeah, Actually, the dragon grants 3 wishes, so you guys could probably get everything that you want. But that's when the Ginyu Force arrives. And Captain Ginyu takes the Dragon Balls to Frieza, leaving the 4 remaining members of the Ginyu Force, Guldo, Jace, Birder, and Recoome, to deal with the interlopers, while Ginyu takes the Dragon Balls to Frieza. And the first one up to fight is Guldo, who has this power to freeze time when he holds his breath. And Vegeta is even like, alright, this guy has the ability to freeze time, so like, just be careful when fighting him. But still, throughout their fight, Krillin and Gohan still get cornered by Guldo. And Guldo is like, I'm going to turn this tree into a spike, and then I'm going to impale you while you are frozen in time. But Guldo doesn't trap Vegeta in time. He only traps Gohan and Krillin. So, while Guldo is distracted by Gohan and Krillin, Vegeta cuts off Guldo's head. So then there ain't no Guldo no more. My old fashioned is gone, and it's time to transition to another beverage. It also just might be time for you to consider subscribing, because the only way that you can let me know that you want to see more Drunken Ball Z is by engaging with this video. Whether that's leaving a like, commenting, subscribing, or ringing the notification bell. Whatever you do lets me know that you want to see more. So don't forget to hit those buttons, and also consider sharing this with your friends that might also want to see a drunk man summarize Dragon Ball Z. But enough with the plugs, let's continue. I also do think that it's fair to consider this part of the Ginyu Saga now, so let's take a shot. And we're gonna keep it simple and just take another shot of Jaeger. Ready, set, go. Alright, pressing on. While the fight with the rest of the Ginyu Force is happening, Captain Ginyu himself delivers the Dragon Balls to Frieza. After trying to make his wish, it doesn't work. So they're like,
what the hell?
But Frieza remembers that one of the previous elders that he killed actually told him that he would never be able to get the Dragon Balls to work because there's a password. Now, for those of us that know, the password, at least on Earth, is Shenron, come forth and grant our wish, or whatever. But it's planet Namek. These are the original Dragon Balls. So the password might be different. So realizing that he needs more information, Frieza actually picks up the energy of Dende and Guru, and he heads that way. And Captain Ginyu stays behind to guard the Dragon Balls. Meanwhile, Gohan and Krillin have to deal with Recoome, whose thing is being strong. All of the Ginyu Force members have different things associated with them, right? Guldo's is freezing time. Recoome's is being strong. Birder is the fastest in the universe, which just don't even think about it that hard. He's very obviously not. But then Captain Ginyu is not only the captain, but he also has the ability to change bodies. Jace, he's red. And also Australian. I just don't really get Jace that much, you know? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because every fighter in the Ginyu Force has a unique skill, ability, they have a gimmick, but then Jace is there, and he's just Jace. Jace really doesn't have anything going for him. He doesn't have any special mechanic or special ability, which is crazy because I like Jace. I always thought he was cool because he was red. I mean, he has Crusher Ball, right? But having a unique technique does not make you an individual. I don't know. I feel like I'm harping on this too long. Vegeta decides that it's the right thing to do to take on Recoome alone. So, during their fight, Recoome has the upper hand. He's just stronger than Vegeta. And while Vegeta uses most of his energy trying to fight Recoome, Recoome at the end of the day is left pretty much untouched. So Recoome goes for his Eraser Gun, which Gohan and Krillin save Vegeta from getting completely obliterated by. But during the encounter with Recoome, Krillin does get hurt, which sends Gohan into a frenzy. But ultimately, Gohan still doesn't really do any damage to Recoome. And then Recoome, very similarly to what Vegeta did to Goku, Recoome snaps Gohan's neck and breaks his spine. And though Gohan is left in a worse for wear state, still manages to pull through, is absolutely insane. Anyway, at this point, Goku arrives on Namek, and he gives Gohan, Krillin, and Vegeta his remaining senzu beans. So they're back in business, baby. And due to his training in 100 times Earth normal gravity on the ship on his way here, Goku f***s up Raccoon. And Vegeta is like, what the f***? Now the Ginyu Force members Burter and Jace go in 2-on-1. Because Goku's power level is like 5,000, so Burter and Jace are like, oi mate, you think this was a lucky shot? Yeah, he couldn't have been that strong. Maybe Raccoon was just as weak as we thought he was. And Goku takes them on pretty effortlessly. And while watching Goku take on some of the strongest people that Vegeta has ever seen, he's like, oh no, it might be the legendary Super Saiyan. How could this be? This sucks. What the f***? Why isn't it me? Anyway, Jace and Burter lose their fight against Goku. And Goku ultimately knocks out Burter. He's not dead, but he is unable to fight. And Goku, being the cool guy that he is like, hey, you should leave. And Jace is like, sure thing, mate. I don't want none of this smoke. So Jace leaves. However, Goku's mercy matters little, because Vegeta jumps at the opportunity and kills Burter. Also, yeah, Raccoon is super dead. So Jace and Ginyu are the only members of the Ginyu Force left. And Vegeta is like, yeah, I thought you were the Super Saiyan, but actually you're too much of a so I'm definitely still stronger than you, and you just got a bit of a beginner's luck. Meanwhile, Jace arrives back at Ginyu's ship, and he informs Ginyu of the losses that they have suffered. And absolutely pissed at the loss of his men, Ginyu heads to Goku, Krillin, Vegeta, and Gohan. And Jace tags along. Now back at where all of the Z fighters are, Vegeta is like, damn, they probably have what they wanted now. Frieza has all the Dragon Balls, so. And Krillin is like, actually, the sky hasn't turned black, which it always does with our Dragon Balls. So it's probably fine. However, they sense that Frieza's energy is headed toward Guru's, which basically just confirms that Goku is like, yeah, they need a password, but they don't have it, which means we're okay for now. And at this point, Ginyu and Jace arrive back at the fight. So Goku is like, okay, Gohan, Krillin, you guys need to go back to Bulma, get the Dragon Radar, and find the rest of the Dragon Balls. I'll take care of everything else. Which at this point, Ginyu arrives, and he's like, I know you're suppressing your power level, you little bit, but like, whatever. Goku begins to fight Captain Ginyu and Jace. And honestly, it seems like Ginyu and Goku are pretty evenly matched, which also just sets the precedent that Goku is way stronger than Vegeta at this point. After a little bit of fighting, Captain Ginyu formally introduces himself. And I'm probably gonna regret this, but I'm gonna do the pose. So Captain Ginyu goes like, I'm Captain Ginyu! Yeah, that was really embarrassing. I might cut that. Vegeta goes and kills the rest of Frieza's men back at his ship. Meanwhile, Goku and Ginyu are still in this heated fight. And Jace even tries to butt in, but Goku is easily able to dodge most of his attacks. Ginyu then tries to goad Goku into going all out, which he doesn't even know about the Kaioken at this point, but he knows that he's still suppressing his power. And Goku complies, using the Kaioken technique, revealing that at this point, Goku's power level is upwards of 180,000, which really makes that previous over 9,000 feel pretty asinine. But it does make Ginyu think, hey, are you the Super Saiyan? And Goku's like, I don't know. Meanwhile, Frieza finally arrives at Guru's. And Frieza's like,
tell me the password.
And Nail is like, no. And a couple other Namekian warriors show up to fight Frieza, and they all die. But then Nail is like, hey, let's go fight somewhere else, because this place can't tell you my secrets and stuff. So they leave and they go fight at a remote location. And very clearly, Nail is not stronger than Frieza, but he's very obviously stalling for time, and he succeeds in that mission. Because while they're fighting, Dende is trying to deliver the message of the password to our heroes. And at this point, Ginyu realizes that he can't beat Goku. But he also realizes Goku has immense strength that he can tap into. So he busts out his special technique. Change now! Wow! Ginyu swaps bodies with Goku. So yeah, now Ginyu is in Goku's body, and Goku is in Ginyu's body. And while Goku is still kind of in shock, Ginyu and Jace head to Frieza's ship, leaving Goku to die in Ginyu's wounded body, because Goku took a toll on Ginyu's body. So now that Ginyu is in Goku's body, and Goku is in Ginyu's body, Ginyu, who was losing their fight, is now Goku, who is suffering from the injuries that Goku inflicted on Ginyu. It's confusing. And at this point, Gohan and Krillin had already left, so they've arrived at Frieza's ship. Goku, Ginyu, and Jace then arrive at Frieza's ship. And they're like, who dug up the Dragon Balls? What the fuck? But Krillin, obviously not realizing that his friend's body has been taken over, goes to greet Goku. And he very quickly figures it out, but then Goku arrives in Ginyu's body and is like, hey! That's not me! Kill him! And Krillin and Gohan fight Ginyu. And Ginyu is so cocky at this point. He's like, in this body, my power level is 180,000. Which has Krillin like, oh no! But after he powers up, Ginyu asks Jace, alright, number 2, what's my power level? And Jace is like, sir, it's only 23,000. Which is a shock to Captain Ginyu, because Goku's power level the last time they measured him was 180,000. Which at that point, Goku is like, dude, you don't know how to use my body or any of my techniques. Yeah, like Kaioken was a multiplier. And even in my base power, you don't know how to access that power. You don't know how to use my muscles or my techniques or the things that I use to be stronger than you. It's not just a brute force thing. I trained to get here and you didn't train to use this body. And Gohan and Krillin use this opportunity. They lay into Ginyu, which freaks out Ginyu, and he calls Jace into battle. Meanwhile, Nail is still fighting Frieza, and he's not doing so hot. So back at the main confrontation, Vegeta takes care of Jace, exclaiming that he is the legendary Super Saiyan, which surely we know that's not true. And Ginyu says as much, which pisses Vegeta off. And then Vegeta goes on the offensive against Ginyu, which works kind of, because Vegeta is very close to annihilating Ginyu. But using Ginyu's ace in the hole, he goes for the body changing technique again. And again, at this point, Goku is not having an awesome time. And while Vegeta goes in for his final strike on Ginyu, Ginyu charges up his attack. Well, if this body isn't good enough, the Prince of all Saiyans will do just fine. So Ginyu charges up his body change attack once again. So Vegeta rushes at Ginyu. So Ginyu sees his opportunity. He goes to change bodies with Vegeta. But Goku, recognizing what's about to happen, and through the most RNG of chances, a frog enters the picture. Goku grabs this frog, yeets it in between Vegeta and Ginyu just so happens to trade places with said frog. And throughout all of the chaos, Goku is returned to his body, Ginyu is put into the frog's body, and Vegeta is fine. Now, Vegeta does want to crush Ginyu in his frog form, and I know we've already referenced it a couple times. In TFS, Vegeta does crush Ginyu, but in the actual series, Vegeta's like, nah, I don't want to get my Uggs all messed up. So they let Ginyu go. And now Vegeta is like, you know, your main guy is out of commission. I could kill all of you. And Goku's like, nah, you won't do that because we're friends now. And Vegeta's like, damn, you're right. So Vegeta takes Goku to Frieza's ship, puts him in the healing pod, and Goku is out of commission for a while. While Goku is in the tank, Vegeta gives Gohan and Krillin some Saiyan armor. Well, I guess it's Frieza's soldier armor, not necessarily Saiyan armor. It was cooler when it was Saiyan armor, for sure. And Vegeta goes and takes a nap. And Krillin decides that it's worth the risk to go back to Guru to get the password. And that's what he does. Okay, and we're pretty much at the end of the Ginyu Saga now, so we're gonna take a mid-saga shot. And it's just more Jaeger. Eren Yeager. Let's close out the Frieza Saga. So, while Krillin is on his way back to Guru's, Frieza is still fighting Nail. So, Hi, puppy. You're coming up. I know you don't like it, but you're gonna do it anyway. This is Spaghetti, my dog. I've been here for a while. The Frieza Saga's a long arc. Alright, goodbye. So basically at this point, Nail is like, yeah, I've been stalling. And Frieza's like, and before Krillin even makes it to Guru, Guru's like, Dende, go and give Krillin the password. And they meet up somewhere in the middle and then go, and while Vegeta is asleep, they gather the rest of the Dragon Balls, basically doing the same thing that they do on Earth, just speaking Namekian instead of English. Or Japanese, if that's the version of the show that you watched. However, Vegeta senses Frieza on the way, and he wakes up from his slumber. And he looks out the window to see, why is it night? This planet doesn't have night. What the f is happening? And it's because the planet doesn't have night, but the dragon has been summoned. And again, this entire time, however, after summoning Purunga, he informs them that he can only bring back one person at a time, which, that's f***ing stupid. But understanding this, Piccolo reaches out to Gohan, and he's like, Gohan, bring me back. Seriously. His reasoning being that if they bring back Piccolo, Kami will also come back to life and the Earth's Dragon Balls will be restored. So any wishes that they can't make on the Namekian Dragon Balls, they'll just make on the Earth Dragon Balls later once Piccolo is back. And Piccolo says, also, bring me back to Namek, because surely I'll be able to help you guys fight. Dylan, what the fuck? Gohan, Krillin, and Dende agree to this, and they bring Piccolo back and bring him to Namek. But Piccolo is nowhere near everybody else. But Vegeta, having already been awake and manages to make himself outside, he sees that the dragon is summoned, and he says, what the f are you doing? And he insists they make the final wish to grant him immortality. But at the same exact moment that Dende asks the dragon to grant Vegeta's wish, a Guru dies. And at this moment, all of the Dragon Balls turn to stone. And this isn't even like a Vegeta power fantasy thing. This is genuine stakes, because Frieza is stronger than Vegeta. And while Vegeta wanted immortality for selfish reasons, he also genuinely wanted immortality to stop Frieza, because he understands that Frieza is a genuine threat. And now that the Dragon Balls have turned to stone, nothing will be able to stop the menace that is Frieza. And at this moment, Frieza arrives. He sees that the dragon is no longer usable. Vegeta doesn't have his wish of immortality, and Frieza is pissed. And look, when I say pissed, I don't mean, I stubbed my toe, damn it. Or, geez, the trash was supposed to be taken out today, but it was a holiday weekend, so they're not taking it out tomorrow. I mean, Frieza is...
I was supposed to be the most powerful being in the known universe, and you took that from me. So now I am immeasurably pissed!
Regardless, Vegeta takes on Frieza. All the while, Vegeta is gloating, and he's like, I'm the legendary Super Saiyan, bitch. And Frieza genuinely surprised that Vegeta can actually manage to match up against his current power. However, Frieza reveals that he has multiple forms, and his power level can raise over 1 million. Which Vegeta wasn't ready for. Meanwhile, Piccolo didn't actually get returned to Namek where Gohan and Krillin and Vegeta were. He just got transported back to Namek. So he's like, what the f***? And he has to travel to where the fight is actually happening. And on his way, he comes across a fading power level, Nail. And he stops to check in, and Nail informs Piccolo that Frieza is super duper strong, and at his current power level, he's not strong enough to beat him. So Nail offers up the ultimate option for them to fuse. Or rather, it's not so much fusion, but it is absorption, where Piccolo can absorb Nail's strength into him. Piccolo doesn't lose any of his current identity, but he does get Nail's strength, and it is multiplied by their fusion. And that's the thing that convinces Piccolo to go through with it. Because at first he's reluctant, but Nail assures Piccolo that he will still be him, he will simply gain the power that Nail has had, his battle experience, all of that kind of stuff, and they can go take on Frieza. Also, Frieza has transformed at this point. He's in his second form, which is taller, hornier, all the more powerful than everyone that has tried to step to him at this point. Because his form is like literally, he has horns, he just charges in and he impales Krillin. All right, cut the green screen, cut the VFX, cut the funny tone that we have been working with up until this point. Dude, watching Frieza impale Krillin is maybe what radicalized me. I'm like not kidding. Watching a spike enter Krillin's chest, a character that I liked, when Frieza killed Krillin, I thought Krillin was gone. And it was brutal. He was impaled. And you watch his blood spill and his life drain out of him, that f***ed you up. Then Frieza tosses Krillin to the side like he's nothing. But this makes Gohan explode. And Gohan goes on the offensive against Frieza. And I mean, he gets a couple of hits in, but it's simply not enough to stop Frieza. However, luckily, Dende was able to save Krillin and use his healing abilities to resuscitate him. But reasonably pissed off that Gohan actually managed to damage Frieza, I mean, Frieza just goes in on Gohan. And while Frieza is distracted with Gohan, Krillin comes in with his Destructo Disc and cuts off Frieza's tail. And while Frieza's caught off guard, Dende comes in and heals Gohan. Krillin does then proceed to distract Frieza, using his solar flare technique, which he stole from Tien, and then Gohan is fully healed due to his Saiyan genes, which also makes him a little bit stronger from the near-death experience. And at this point, Piccolo arrives. My boy, he's back! Yeah, I mean, Piccolo arrives and is like, I'm way stronger than I was when you faced me on Earth. And Vegeta's like, ha 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 ha, yeah, right. No, actually. And he starts to go up against Frieza. And he actually is winning against Frieza in his second form due to his fusion with Nail. But then Frieza transforms up to his third form, which is very obviously a reference to Alien. Like, you guys know how the Xenomorph has that super long forehead appendage thing. And honestly, I really don't like third form Frieza's form. And Piccolo is still fully ready to take on this form of Frieza. But he can't. Between fingerings and just his general speed increase, I mean, he's lowered in size a little bit, but he's still increased in power level. Okay, let me break it down for you guys. His first form that we're introduced to is not base Frieza. The final form of Frieza that we are introduced to, which we haven't gotten to yet, is his strongest form. But it's not his final form, is actually the form that he was born in. Frieza's other forms, whereas Super Saiyan and beyond are increases in power for the rest of our cast, for Frieza, his different forms are suppressions of his power. So third, second, and first form of Frieza are simply ways of him to contain his power so that he can use it against people who are very obviously weaker than him. And the only reason why he would transform up is to release that power in an instance that he came across somebody who could actually combat him. So at this point where he's in his third form, this is him getting very close to having to use his actual power. But during the fight with Piccolo, Gohan again lashes out, and he is able to deal a ton of damage to Frieza, which prompts Frieza to realize that Gohan and Vegeta are both getting stronger actively as Saiyans, and Dende has brought Krillin back to life, so basically Frieza has done nothing up to this point. But while Frieza is distracted with Gohan, Vegeta is like, okay, stupid Earthling, if you attack me, literally deal a ton of damage to me, and then if the green one heals me, I'll be stronger than Frieza. So Krillin blasts Vegeta, dealing a ton of damage. But Dende is reluctant to heal Vegeta because Vegeta killed a bunch of his people. So Dende is not super thrilled about the idea of healing Vegeta. But eventually Dende does heal Vegeta. And this surge of power makes Vegeta pretty confident that he is the Super Saiyan of legend. And I feel like I've mentioned it before, but Vegeta is really confident in this myth of the Super Saiyan. In the previous arc, we had Vegeta who was able to turn himself into a monkey. And even before that, Goku was able to do the same thing. But in Saiyan myth, there is something that is called the Super Saiyan, beyond even that of the power of the Ozaru, which is you are able to maintain control but also multiply your power exponentially, a Super Saiyan. And Frieza recognizes that Dende is the source of the fact that the people that he's trying to kill aren't dying, so Frieza kills Dende. And then Frieza tries to kill Gohan, but Vegeta, in a startling change of character, actually saves Gohan. And Vegeta, so overly confident in his own power, tries to take on Frieza. Also, Frieza has transformed to his final form at this point, but because Vegeta is no match for Frieza, Vegeta actually sheds a tear because he realizes this is the end. And because he's lost all hope, Frieza goes to town on Vegeta. Hi. I hope you've been enjoying Drunkenball Z. It has been about 2 weeks since the last clip that you saw of me. And yes, I've washed this outfit since. But unfortunately, I couldn't finish recording this episode of Drunkenball Z within the allotted time that I gave myself. So here I am, going at it again. I have some more beverages prepared, and we're gonna finish the Frieza Saga. I apologize for all of the breaks, but we are chugging towards the end, so let's get it. So where we were when I left off, Frieza was giving a pounding to Vegeta, leaving him basically on the brink of death. And because Dende is dead, they're not getting healed anymore. And at this point, Goku wakes up, and he's able to sense what's going on, so he bursts out of his Bacta tank and he goes to the action. And as Goku arrives, Frieza is like,
I'm sorry, who are you?
And Vegeta is like, he is the legendary Super Saiyan. Which, after having heard this spiel like 30 times from Vegeta over the last however long this fight has been, Frieza kills Vegeta. Just pew straight to the chest. But before Vegeta dies, he actually tells Goku about what happened to Planet Vegeta, and that he is the last of the true pure-blooded Saiyans. And Vegeta, in a touching moment of sincerity, asks Goku, pleads to Goku, to get vengeance on Frieza, to take revenge for all of the lives that he has taken. And Vegeta dies, and the battle against Frieza begins. Now keep in mind, Frieza is already in his final form, and Goku manages to put in some work in his base form, before even busting out the Kaioken or anything. So much so that they actually seem like equal in power. And Goku, being the master tactician that he is, the master martial artist that he is, instead of just trying to brute force Frieza, he's actually using tactics. He pretty much uses every trick up his sleeve that he knows Frieza won't be prepared for. And it really just shows how excellent of a fighter Goku really is, because he's not just relying on brute force and punches. He knows that Frieza can't sense energy, so he goes underwater, where Frieza can't see him, and he sets up traps. Throughout the course of the fight, he uses the coverage of smoke to try to hide from Frieza. Again, Goku may be a bit of a dunce, but he knows fighting. But throughout the fight, eventually Frieza's like,
You know, I'm not even using 50% of my power.
and Goku is like, nuh-uh, prove it. So Frieza powers up to 50%. I don't have that kind of control over my own body, so like, raising my power level to a specific percentage seems insane, but Frieza obviously has more ki control than me, so I'll let it slide. Once Frieza does power up to 50% of his power, he gets the edge in the fight. And he gives a pretty brutal beating to Goku, even at Kaioken times 10. Goku is just no match for Frieza at this power. But seeing how powerful and just how determined Goku is to achieve his goal, Frieza offers Goku a job. Now that the entire Ginyu Force is basically dead, Frieza needs a new security force. So he offers Goku to take Captain Ginyu's place as his right-hand man. And of course, there was no world where Goku agrees to this. But it was worth a shot from Frieza. But after a while of basically being pummeled into the dirt, everyone else is beginning to lose hope as King Kai and Piccolo and Gohan just can't see a way out of the situation. Goku was their ace in the hole, and now... And Goku goes for the times 20 Kaioken Kamehameha. And this moment is so sick, but it barely does anything to Frieza. I kind of glossed over Kaioken times 10 because back in the Saiyan saga, he only got up to times 4, times 5. But not only is his body capable of sustaining times 10, but he's pushing it to times 20. That is an insane multiplier. It does leave Goku's body completely drained. Piccolo, Gohan, and Krillin do try to step in and hold off Frieza, but it just doesn't work. But Goku has this idea. The final trick up his sleeve. The Spirit Bomb. So Piccolo goes in and tries to stall Frieza while Goku charges up the Spirit Bomb. And obviously they don't do an awesome job. But they do manage to stall Frieza long enough for Goku to gather a bunch of energy. And Frieza is none the wiser. Until eventually he sees the Spirit Bomb's reflection in the water. And he's like,
"What the hell is that?"
And Piccolo is like, "Nothing." And Goku is like, "Nothing, don't worry about it." And Frieza does catch wise that this is some sort of attack. They manage to hold him off just long enough for Goku to finish the Spirit Bomb. He's taking energy from the other planets, from the animals, from the plants, from the life force of the universe, of the entirety of space around them. And with this massive Spirit Bomb, he hucks it. And it makes contact! This huge Spirit Bomb drives Frieza back. He tries to hold it, but ultimately it's too powerful and Frieza is pushed to the brink and he gets consumed by the Spirit Bomb. The dust settles, the light fades away. There's a gaping hole in planet Namek, with thousands of tons of water trying to fill the hole of the Earth that was once there. And it's quiet. Gohan, Piccolo, Krillin, Goku, they settle on a nearby rock and they celebrate their victory. Frieza is gone. Everyone is saved. The Earth's Dragon Balls are back, so all they have to do is go home? It feels like victory. Until Krillin looks over Goku's shoulder to see Frieza, and he's pissed. And Frieza fires a beam that was intended for Goku, but Piccolo jumps in the way and takes the brunt of that shot right to the chest. Though, he's not dead. And just to note, in the manga, Frieza does just attack Piccolo. In the anime, he attacks Goku, but Piccolo saves him. Minor difference, doesn't really change anything. And the next on the chopping block is Krillin, as Frieza lifts him into the air and...
No, Frieza! Don't do it!
Krillin. Oh, it happened twice. It happened twice in the Namek Saga. So, yeah, Krillin is actually gone. There's no saving him. Dende's already gone. And this is the second time that he died. So, according to our knowledge of the Earth Dragon Balls, there's no way to bring Krillin back. The stakes have never been higher. Goku is basically out of commission. Gohan can't step to Frieza. Piccolo is down and Krillin is down. All within the span of like 5 minutes. But this is where it gets good. Even if you're not a Dragon Ball fan, you have likely seen this moment either in its entirety or referenced in some other media. Goku explodes. And I think the Kai dub does it best. And it might get this video demonetized. But I believe it is worth it to just watch this scene uncut, unfiltered, in its entirety. So please enjoy Goku turning Super Saiyan.
I will make you suffer!
my god, it's so sick! And this is the best design of Super Saiyan in my opinion, where his hair is a little less detailed, and he's just standing there. He's got the you know, with the lightning behind him. It's just so sick. It's so sick. It's so sick. Are you kidding me? Goku is now a Super Saiyan. And Frieza is like,
What are you?
And Goku gives his iconic speech. God, there's just so much aura. Dragon Ball is so cool. These are the moments that Dragon Ball fans live for. So now Goku being golden haired and blue eyed, which this story has been passed around forever, but the reason that Toriyama did this is because he didn't want to draw in Goku's hair, like the black on the page anymore. So he made Goku's hair gold, which on a black and white manga page is just white. But in Toriyama's desire to not do so much extra work, he created one of the most iconic scenes of all time. It's so sick. It's so sick. Let's move on. Goku turns to Gohan and is like, hey, things are about to get super real. Take Piccolo, go find Bulma, and get off of Namek. And this is what Gohan does. And Goku and Frieza begin their fight. And Goku is literally playing with Frieza. At this current power level, Super Saiyan is like a 50 times multiplier. So like earlier in the fight, Goku was able to put up with Frieza at a lower level, but now with Frieza at 50% of his power level, Goku far exceeds Frieza's power. Goku puts an absolute beating on Frieza that he was not prepared for. And Frieza eventually comes to the recognition that he can't beat Goku. So instead of fighting Goku, he opts to blow up Namek because Frieza can breathe in space, but he knows Goku can't. So if he blows up the planet, he has a chance of getting out alive. But unfortunately, Frieza didn't use enough power when he attempted to blow up planet Namek. So the planet still stands, but it's beginning to deteriorate. Him claiming, this planet will explode in 5 minutes. And we still have like 30 episodes of this fight left. So boy was he wrong. And in an attempt to complete this battle before the planet explodes, Frieza uses 100% of his power, which is just the same form that he's in, but he gets all bulked out and big. And the fight ensues on a decaying planet Namek. And Frieza gets the upper hand on Goku. Although we do get that moment where Goku just
You finally met your match!
It's so good. And back on Earth, Mr. Popo and a newly resurrected Kami gather the Earth's Dragon Balls. And they wish on Shenron to bring back everyone who was killed by Frieza and his army. And apparently Guru didn't die of old age or a heart attack or anything, but he died of grief after what Frieza did to his planet and his people. But the wish on the Dragon Balls brought him back, which means the Namekian Dragon Balls are back, which means Purunga is back because that final wish was never granted.
King Kai/Kami then asked Dende to use the last wish on Purunga to bring everyone on Namek back to Earth. Sorry I lost this footage.
Goku actually intercepts this message and he's like, no, I know I can beat Frieza, leave me here. So everyone who was on Namek does get teleported back to Earth. And Vegeta actually sees Goku when he gets resurrected and he's like,
Nice.
And then gets transported back to Earth. So now with the entire planet empty and also minutes away from blowing up, Frieza and Goku continue their fight. After realizing that Frieza has used so much of his stamina and he can't sustain this 100% form, Goku sees that Frieza is defeated. So he goes, all right, Frieza, this fight is over. And Frieza's like,
What? What are you saying?
and Goku is like, I win. I'm done. I don't need to kill you. I already know that I'm stronger than you and you'll probably blow up with this planet or whatever anyway. And Frieza's like, Goku continues and is like, why don't you train up and come back and fight me again someday? And this pisses Frieza off even more than he already is, which I'm sure he's probably popped an ulcer or whatever the heck, blown a blood vessel or two. And while Goku turns his back, Frieza throws a Destructo Disc at him. I think it's canonically called the Death Saucer, but it's a Destructo Disc. But Goku is easily able to outmaneuver this attack, having seen Krillin use it a handful of times now. Frieza launches another one, and he's able to control them like an RC car, like he tells them where to go.
And the fight continues. Eventually they lose track of where these saucers are.
So Goku even sees the second saucer as it's about to hit Frieza, and Goku yells out, Frieza, get out of the way. He tries to save Frieza's life, even after everything that he's done in these final moments, but Frieza doesn't move, and he gets cut in half by his own attack, losing his entire lower half and one of his arms. And as Frieza lay there, cut in half, bleeding out, actively dying while the planet around him is beginning to decay, begs for mercy.
Goku, please, you wouldn't leave an emperor to die on a barren planet such as this. Surely, I don't want to die. I still have so much life to live. I still wanted to conquer Yavin 4. That place had a horrible economic system.
Goku is like, alright, he spares some of his own energy to keep Frieza alive, giving Frieza enough power to be able to fly and potentially escape planet Namek. Goku is just such a good guy. He doesn't want anybody to die. He wants to fight powerful foes, but he doesn't like death. Even someone as evil as Frieza, he sees hope in them because he was able to, at the very least, convince Vegeta that, hey, maybe you don't gotta do so many bad things all the time. And he thought he could do the same to Frieza. But once again, as Goku turns his back to try to flee planet Namek, Frieza uses all of the energy that Goku gave him into one final powerful blast. And this is when we get the angry Kamehameha, where Goku goes, "You fool!" and shoots back a sick one-handed Kamehameha at Frieza. Just absolutely overpowers Frieza in this moment, and that's the end of Frieza. But at this point, the planet is potentially seconds away from detonating, so Goku panics and he tries to go find any ship, any way off the planet, and he does. But it's not his ship, it's Frieza's ship. But Goku realizes he can't escape. He doesn't know how to work Frieza's ship, he can't get off the planet, and all we see is planet Namek exploding. Planet Namek disappears from the stars, and we don't see Goku escape. So, yeah, that's the end of Goku as far as we know. However, back on Earth, the entire gang is there. Bulma's back, Piccolo's back, Gohan's back, Dende is there. All the other Namekians and Guru are there too. And we do get a fun little moment where Dende heals Piccolo and realizes that he's been fused with Nail because they were kinda buddies. So just, I don't know, full circle or whatever. And all of the other Namekians are gathered around Guru because he's dying. Like, for real, for real. And he does, passing on his elder title to one of the other Namekians. This is just so that the Namekian Dragon Balls don't disappear when he dies. So now, this other elder is able to maintain the power of the Namekian Dragon Balls and keep Porunga going and all that. This is good because, again, like Krillin, Chiaotzu, and the others who have already died before still haven't been resurrected yet. But on the Namekian Dragon Balls, they can be resurrected. So they'll just do that later. They make their wishes, so they wish Goku and Krillin's remains back to Earth. However, Porunga is like,
I cannot bring the one you call Goku back, as he is still alive.
So they wish back Krillin's remains and then bring Krillin back to life. And they use their third wish to bring Goku to Earth. Somehow, Goku refuses to be returned to Earth. Wherever he is not done there yet. And everyone just kind of accepts it, except Vegeta, who does take a different spaceship out into the stars in an attempt to go find Goku, because he really wants to be a Super Saiyan. So they end up using their final wish to resurrect Yamcha. I would have done first, personally. And that's all 3 wishes, so they have to wait another 130 days. But once the Namekian Dragon Balls are ready to use once again, they bring back Tien and Chiaotzu, and they transport all of the Namekians to a new planet, Namek. So all of the Namekians are back on their planet, all of our heroes are back alive on Earth, and the only person missing is Goku. And that's it. We're back on Earth, everything is hunky-dory, and the gang eagerly awaits Goku's arrival back on Earth. Next time is the Android Saga. So, that's it for this one. Thank you everybody so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like, subscribing, and letting me know down in the comments below that you want to see more. Let me know your opinions about the Frieza Saga as well. Whether this was your first introduction or you've been a fan of Dragon Ball forever, I want to know your favorite moments from the Frieza Saga. And for the Android Saga, we're only going to be covering the period of the androids before we get to Cell. The Cell Saga is going to be its own video. So, with that being said, thank you everybody so much for watching. I have been Gunchpot, this has been Drunkenball Z, and of course, as always,
Finally, it's done.
Ah, hello, Gunchpot. Good to see you. No, don't look at the bottle. You're not hallucinating. I'm real. I just wanted to let you know this was really fun. And I would love to come back for the Android Saga. But let me warn you, if you make any sort of joke, remark, or funny segment about how I was killed by Trunks, I will find you and there will be nothing left for anyone else to find. Okay, sweet talk. Cha-cha!
Yeah, I've had enough.